Alex, your role as a distributor sometimes, it just seems like obviously you kind of fit in with what the team needs, but what's your mindset when you are recognizing that playmaking can be a factor in your game?
Yeah, to be honest, I just haven't worried too much about myself early in the season. These guys have had a lot of success without me, so for me, I'm trying to figure out the best version of myself to help the team, win games and be the best version of ourselves. Obviously, I think there's times where I could probably be a little more aggressive, and I think I did that a little bit tonight in early transition. Found Zay a couple of times, found Wiggs on a cut. But yeah, I think that's just a dynamic for me that I can help, bring to the team. It's getting to the paint, distributing a little for everybody else, but for the most part, just taking what the game comes, taking what the game gives to me, and being ready for, whatever I got to do.
Consistency is something that every team is trying to capture and very hard to get over the course of an 82-game season. What have you guys captured in that regard in terms of the defense in the first 7 games?
Yeah, I mean, we're playing with good effort for majority of the game. That's kind of the first key to be a good defensive team in the NBA is you got to compete. We just have a lot of really good defensive guys. Like it's really simple. It kind of boils down to that. Like defensive guys that are competitive. We play for each other. We scramble. Like I've been playing the 5 for a week now, so I obviously need some help down there every now and then. Just getting deflections, helping on rebounds. Like you just have 5 guys out there that are playing together. It makes it really hard to score.
Alex, where does this rank among defensive units you've played with?
I don't know what the numbers look like, but the only other team that's been that kind of defensive mindset was that team in LA, the 2020 year. But it was a different version of defense in that team too. Like that team, we had 3 7-footers. We had a shot blocker at the rim at all times. Like so far this year, we were missing 2 of our bigs. I'm a steals guy. Yeah. And Jay Will, doesn't do a lot up at the rim. He does a little bit, but he takes charges, and then Hart and Chet obviously protect the rim. But we got more on-ball defenders, I think, on this team than I've had in the past. Like I have been primarily off of, plug guys, 5s, being in actions to switch on, and Kaysen and Lou and Dub even have been the guys on ball. So, I think there's still like another level that we can get to once we get everything tightened up.
I hate to generalize, but it feels like in a lot of these games, through 7, it's small lineups, it's ball pressure, it's the offense being just enough, and in the end, just do you feel like you guys through 7 games? I know it's early, but do you feel like you found some sort of formula to win?
Yeah, I mean, defensively, you can do that every night. Like that's something that I think, like I said, with the amount of talent that we have, the coaching in our schemes, that's something that you can do every night, regardless what the offense looks like so far. And like you said, you're playing small, not by choice most of the time. It's out of necessity right now. I played the 4 a lot last year because we were small in Chicago, and I was hoping to come here and play more on the wing. And here I am playing the 5 for 7 games. But it's a fun challenge. It'll be useful for us down the road, when we have more pitches to throw.
When you're sprawled on the ground, going for a loose ball, and just getting on the floor and going, making plays like that, is that instinctive, or is that like an opportunity? That hey, this is my play. That this is the kind of guy that does this.
Yeah, I try to be smarter about it every year. I tell myself take the ones you can get, and then the ball's out there during the game, and I'm like, I might be able to get it, and I kind of just go for it. Yeah, it's just instinctual, man. I'm just really competitive. Like that's the area of the floor that I can really dominate at times, and so for me, steals and blocks are really deflections are important to me, and it's how I can affect the game.
Dub, while you're hanging out, just want to talk about the start of the game. You really came off hot, and it just seemed like the team kind of knew that maybe you were the guy to go to in the beginning. Just how did that feel, getting going, and then the rest of the game, just letting the game come to you?
Yeah, I think just trying to get to my spots early and being aggressive, and credit to the guys. They found me on some relocation 3s and just kind of scoring within the offense. And after that, yeah, you don't want to force anything. We have a lot of good players, so there's never really a need to try and force your will. You just try and hit the open shots and that's what I was able to do. And then we kind of stretched the lead to the point where you try and get other guys involved.
Dub, those shots that you hit, once you've kind of broken past the first level of the defense, you're still in a little bit of traffic. Is there a way that you simulate that in the offseason to be able to get those shots off in tight spaces, to keep the handle going in tight spaces the way that you do?
Yeah, I just try and rep out like some of the plays I know we're going to be in, and we have like coaches that we use, and just try and simulate that as much as possible. Trying to add even more coaches to that. Something I got from Shea. And yeah, so the more coaches I add to my workout, the more it kind of simulates the game.
Nick Gallo, OKC Thunder. Isaiah, you guys got off to a great start. What were some keys in that first half to just be able to kind of put the foot down and put the pedal to the metal?
Yeah, hard nose on the defensive end, sharing the ball offensively. I think we made it a simple game early, and that's how we got the jump on the lead.
When you work off ball and eventually get it, you're moving so fast. What are some keys for you technically to get your feet how you want them, get yourself squared how you want them? Like, what goes into that for you?
Yeah, well, first off, I just like to move because a lot of times it gets me a shot, but more often it opens up the game for everybody else. But when I get the ball, everything else is the same when it comes to shooting. So just getting square, getting my balance, and knocking down the shot.
Anything else? What did it feel like going on your own personal 9-0 run?
It feels good. Start there, but it just attests to team finding me. I think Alex Caruso assisted on all three of those, if I'm correct. So guys that are willing to, make the extra pass, play the right way, ball has energy, and I think that's just, what happened in that stretch. It could be me, but it can easily be anybody else on the team.
The wings on this defense, and it's a small sample size, but it's the beginning of the season, are pretty terrorizing. I mean, the defense right now is pretty upscale. Just talk about, getting into practice with these guys, and just how hard are you guys going? And do you realize that you guys are putting that much into how much the defense is going this year?
Oh yeah, we take a lot of pride on the defensive end because we do realize that that's something that could be consistent every night, whether the ball is going in or not. We can rely on our defense to help us get the edge on every team. So, and we got the guys to do it. Everybody out there is a lockdown defender. Really no weak links out there. So from Caruso to Lou to Wiggs to Kaysen, you got Chet, rim defender. Even Shea, he's a lockdown dub. Like we got guys, man. So whenever you have people on the same accord and willing to get stops on the defensive end and work as a unit that way, it makes it really hard to score.
To a similar point, whenever you guys have a 19-point quarter and the offense goes stagnant at times, does that defense kind of let you, not panic or not kind of get frustrated and just lean on that for a while?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you know that you can, come together as a unit and stop teams from scoring, it makes it easier. Because, like I said, the ball's not always going to go in. You're going to have nights where the shots are going in, nights where it's not going in. So you got to be able to rely on the defensive end to, help you keep that edge.
How much does it help you to go against that defense in practice, with your offense, that is?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I get to work on everything. The guys that, can guard on and off the ball, so I get to work on, a lot of my game. But I think it helps me be a better defender as well. Because now when I'm out there, I don't want to be the weak link, and I think that goes for everybody else down the line.
Which charges you more, a big three or a turnover that gets you guys out on the break on defense?
Probably a turnover that gets us out on the break, because if we can sustain that for, a good stretch, it leads to open shots. So as long as we can do that and get out on the break and generate good looks that way, we're going to have good nights.
Anything else? Thanks, Isaiah.
Thank you.
Mark, what do you make of the way that your team kind of navigated that game, having a 26-point lead and having to stay vigilant against the fact that they weren't going away and being able to eventually kind of get the car back on the road the way that they did?
Yeah, it wasn't a masterpiece, but I really liked the way we started. I thought we were really sharp to start the game, building a lead like that. And then we had a lot of good moments, and then we had some sloppy moments where we weren't great. But it was our 7th game in 12 days. We're bouncing around different cities. I think 5 of them have been on the road, or whatever. What is it? 4 of them have been on the road? Come on, Nick, you're with us. So, some of it could be a little bit of cumulative fatigue. But we need to be better over the course of 48 habitually, but obviously played well enough to win and had a lot of good moments.
Shea really set the table in terms of generating shots for others in that first quarter. 7 assists. Anything you notice about his floor game?
Yeah, thought he played really well, especially early. Leveraged his gravity, got the ball ahead of the defense, got guys shots, and really had control of the game there. And then I thought things opened up for him there in the third and fourth.
Mark, obviously, Chet didn't play the entire fourth quarter. At first, I just want to ask, did he get hurt, or what was that decision?
No, he was available. That was totally my call. Like I said, 7 games in 12 days. He's carried a heavy load for our team. Schedule doesn't stop. We have a tough schedule coming up. So I took the opportunity to get him some rest in the fourth. He was available. I would have gone back to him in certain circumstances, but I held off. That was my decision.
And I imagine that lineup to end the third maybe made that decision easier. What'd you see from that smaller lineup that ended the third?
Yeah, they did a good job. Great energy, stacked some stops. Obviously, Isaiah got it going and gave us a nice lead going into the fourth quarter. So, really good job of just kind of in kind of a mud wrestling match in large parts of the game, second quarter, and then the early part of the third. They did a good job of stacking some stops and breaking the game open a little bit.
Andrew Schlecht with The Athletic. You started Cason Wallace in this one. What do you like about Cason with the starters?
The same thing I like about Cason off the bench and, at his house and in practice. And I love Cason. So he's gotten a lot better. He's quietly under the radar. Had a great start to the season. He's definitely a different player year over year on both ends of the floor. More confidence and decisiveness on offense. And more range to his game there. And then defensively, I think he's really, improved his body and improved his strength. There's just plays last season where his feet were there, but it was hard for him to get his chest on some things. And this year, he's standing guys up, and his feet are still just as good. His instincts are still just as good. He's still just as competitive. So, we're obviously looking at a lot of different things, but I'm comfortable with him in any minute of a game.
Jerry Ramsey, 107.7 The Franchise. I know the separation probably in the second half made it easier to play Jones and Mitchell as many minutes as you did, but it just seems like despite the success, you guys are still developing these young guys, and it really doesn't matter the separation. You guys are still going to give these guys meaningful minutes.
Predicated on the score. Those guys are good players, and the only way you improve is with some experiences, and the only way we know what we have is with some experience. So obviously, AJ's given us really good minutes already in games that were competitive. I think it was Atlanta at home. He was out there in a close game. And then Dylan tonight, when he went in the third, it wasn't like we had much separation at that point. And I liked his energy in the first half. Portland game, he was all over the offensive glass in that game. He's really trying to play hard, bring a lot of energy to the game. He's got to tighten his fundamentals, and he's got a lot to work on. But his spirit's there. He's trying to play inside the team, and he's really competitive. So thought it was a good time to take a look there. I thought he gave us a jolt. He was part of that group that put on a really nice run.
Shea, with the distribution in the first quarter, was that something that you guys maybe talked about, part of the game plan, or was it just Shea taking what the game gave him?
The latter. We're not micromanaging that. These are good players that are learning all the pictures, and he's a guy that he can get anywhere he wants on the court and can get himself a shot any possession of an NBA game. But that gravity can, pulls the defense closer to him, and he can get guys easy looks, and that's what he was doing early. He's done it all year, though. He's had a really nice floor game the entire season.
Mark, obviously, Alex is not like some Caruso. He's not like some traditional table setter, but it feels like he always finds the corner or the extra pass. Just what have you made of his vision?
Yeah, he's got great offensive instincts, as a system player. He's a really good screen setter. He's a really good passer, an early passer. He's off it early. He sniffs out ways to create action for his teammates. He's in the right places from a spacing standpoint. He takes cuts. He gets to the dunker. He offensive rebounds. He does all the things that are invisible that help glue the offense together. And then he's like that on defense. That's why he's such a high impact player.
Obviously, we've talked a ton about the small lineups, and you've thrown out a million different, variations of that. But the lineups that he's part of, the small lineups, like what do you see from him, and just as far as how productive he is there, and how he maybe helps those lineups?
Yeah, I mean, between him and Dub and Shea and Wiggins, and then the physicality of Dort and Cason Wallace, that's what allows those things to work. It's not like you can just roll out 5 guards, any night, any team. This team has a lot of defensive versatility that compensates for the lack of size. It's competitiveness, it's instincts, it's aggressiveness, it's quickness, strength, size, positional size, despite there not being a front court player. And so he's definitely a part of that. But, he's got his fingerprints all over that. If you'll notice when we're doing that, he's usually involved or dubbed.
Coach, 7 games into the season, defense looks like a cohesive unit, mid-season form. In which ways do you want to see them improve?
Defensively?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is, the stuff that you do in the first few games does not carry over to the next game. So I think sometimes, when you talk about the defense relative to like the offense, people are like, how do you improve the offense? Because the defense has obviously performed at an elite level, but we haven't performed at an elite level defensively on Wednesday. You have to do that again if you want to be a really good defense on that day. And so we have to run that back. It takes great energy and commitment. We've done a great job of it so far. We've had great discipline to our game plan. We've played incredibly hard and connected on that end of the floor. But none of that stuff carries over. It's helped us get 7 wins in these games, but it has not helped us in anything moving forward, so we have to bring it.
I actually have another question on that. Earlier in the season, I think during training camp, I asked Dub who's the most relentless defender on the team. To you, who's the most relentless? Not necessarily the best defender, but just the most relentless.
I don't give out the individual gold stars. I'll just end up pissing off 17 people.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Ryder. Go ahead.
Was it just kind of from your perspective, the shots kind of falling for J-Dub today, or did you see something different from his game offensively?
That's what I was saying before the game. You guys are asking about him. It's early in the season. It's an early sample. He's missed some easy stuff at the basket that he got to go down tonight. His threes have been pretty good up until this point. I mean, he's found some good threes. He found them again tonight and got it going early. So nothing really different. I think he's had kind of the same floor game. It's just, sometimes you're in stretches where they're not falling and they weren't falling. Some stuff that he usually gets down wasn't falling early, but he's the last guy we're worried about.
What are your thoughts on being the first Thunder team to start 7-0?
I mean, we have great respect for the history of the organization. We have great respect for all the teams that have played here, all the players that have played here. So would never balk at that, but we're really focused on, improving every single day. We're really not getting caught up in our record, especially this early in the season. This is not the time to, put it on cruise control. Yep, thanks.